What's up, YouTube? This is JRJuggernaut1, and welcome to another daily discussion. First, I want to give two shoutouts out because I've been wanting to give these shoutouts out for quite some time now. First shoutout is going to go to XX Ground 316 Breaker XX. He's a cool dude, really chill. Love his channel. He was really nice when he saw some of my videos and really helped me out a bit. Also beware, he has a imposter, or the guy who kind of stole his identity, and ironically that guy came to me first, which is weird, but yeah, the whole thing's strange. But yeah, check him out. Also shout out to Random Lilze1. He talks about a lot of different things with Yu-Gi-Oh, kind of like myself, sort of. His stuff's a bit more random, but yeah. But you know, he's a cool dude, and I like that he's not afraid to speak his mind, especially when it comes to like people like Asian Home Videos. But whatever, that is what it is. So yeah, check him out. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about two different cards. One of these cards is often side decked and even main decked, and the other, I don't know. I haven't seen many people run this card, but I like it, so I'm going to talk about it. Now the first card is pretty simple, DD Crow. Now I really don't care what people say. I think DD Crow is pretty much dominating to an extent in this format because he's just an amazing side card, and he even works as a great main deck card as well. He stops plays. He can stop pretty much big plays from happening, and he can just save your ass. And the best part is he activates from your hand, not from the field, so it's like your opponent can't cold wave to stop it. It's just really great. Yeah, effect's pretty simple. You can discard this card from your hand to the graveyard and then remove from play one card in your opponent's graveyard. This effect can be activated during either player's turn. That's amazing. I currently have two rare ones, and these, like, people will actually value these. It's a rare that will value it at like $8. I'm dead serious. That's how highly these things are that's how highly these cards are rated. It's just ridiculous. I mean, like the Ultimate Ultra, those go for like $20 each. That I can understand, but it's like, wow. Oh my god. But it's like I think people wonder why people are, like, I kind of ask myself, why do some X-Sabers players main deck two of this card? But it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I mean, currently in this format, a lot of decks are pretty graveyard based, so it makes sense that you would at least main one of these. Yet I've seen a bunch of X-Saber decks like topped at the last two YCS events, and they like either mained two crows or mained one crow or whatever. It's just a very interesting choice, but surprisingly effective. I like it in a way. I just don't run it in my deck because I just don't find that I can make the space, and I just don't feel like it's always gonna it's just, I don't feel like I'm always gonna need it depending on the matchup. Plus I like also siding it in game 2, because then when I side it in, my opponent's isn't expecting it. If they see it game 1, they'll like kind of be more prepared for it game 2, whereas if I have it game 2, if I'm not playing it till game 2, they'll just, it'll just catch them off guard since it'll activate from my hand. But yeah, this is a great card. How do you normally deal with this card? Well, normally it depends. If your opponent tries to revive something, like tries to, let's say, get rid of your Plague Spreader while it's in your grave, like the one way you can really avoid it is kind of trying to revive it somehow, but that's not something that happens often. Most of the time this effect will work because there aren't that many ways to stop it. And your opponent's normally going to use it when you use the effect of a card like Junk Synchron or Debris Dragon, which will take a monster back from your graveyard. Or they'll use it on something like maybe Monster Reincarnation, which will also stop them from getting a monster back. It's just many ways that this card can be used to hurt your opponent, depending on the moves that they're making. Now, there is, however, one card that I found can help you against this card. And I haven't seen many people run it. I have seen a few Infernity players actually run it, but it's effective. And that card is Heroes Rule 2. Now, basically, this card is somewhat more effective than DD Crow, and somewhat less effective for a number of reasons. Well, for those of you who don't know, this card negates the activation of a spell, trap, or monster effect that targets a card in the graveyard and then destroys it. So not only will this does DD Crow stop, not only does this card stop cards from being recovered from the graveyard, but it also, if you try to, like, let's say your opponent tries to go Debris Dragon, bring back Dandelion, not only will Dandelion not be brought back, but Debris Dragon will be destroyed, which is pretty awesome. This also works if you're going to use it with, let's say, XX Saber Fultril. Your opponent won't get an X Saber monster back, and Fultril's gone. Yeah, gone. However, what makes this card nice is that this card works great against card effects that will remove your cards from graveyard, such as DD Crow. Your opponent goes DD Crow to remove your monster, you chain Heroes Rule 2. DD Crow is negated, and your monster is safe. I like this card again because my deck uses cards like Debris Dragon, Junk Synchrone, and it'll just either save and it'll just protect me if I really need it. However, what also makes this card nice is I can again use it against my opponent. So it's kind of, it has two very good uses, which is one of the reasons why I love to side this card. And it just has a nice versatility to it. Now, of course, this card is different again because it's not going to be able to stop every kind of graveyard-based play. This won't work against a card that a card effect that activates in the graveyard, such as Plague Spreader Zombie. So that's something you actually have to watch out for. But again, it's just the point of this card is just that you can. There's just many ways that there's just so many different plays where that your opponent might try to pull off, and this will work. Also, the fact that it's a counter trap is really helpful. So, you know, your opponent has to negate it with some sort of counter trap, and these days the only counter trap I usually see is Solemn Judgment. So, yeah, stopping this is hard. It's definitely hard. I just find it very effective. So yeah, these are two very good cards in my opinion. However, Heroes Rule 2, while DD Crow is more of a generic side card or main card, Heroes Rule 2 is better off being used in a deck that's like looking to protect itself from cards like DD Crow, you know? So that's one thing to keep in mind. But still, a good card. I like using both of these cards because they're just very helpful. And one more thing I forgot to mention though, another great thing about DD Crow though, and this is why I kind of preferred over Crevice from the different dimension. Crevice, yes, can remove 2 monsters from grave, but DD Crow can also be recycled back to your deck more easily because it's a monster, so you can recycle it with Pot of Avarice. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, yes, Crevice removes 2 monsters, but DD Crow can if like you're using it on a card like Launcher and you remove Archfiend from the equation, you're kind of just screwing them over almost as much because the combo still stops. So yeah, Crevice stops them more easily. So I still recommend, like, my recommendation is usually if you have a side deck, run 2 DD Crow and 1 Crevice from the different dimension, because then you'll at least have another out if you really need a card like Crevice. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to say on these cards. Comment and tell me what you think about these cards. Tell me if you've used them or if you've had any real success with them. Like, yeah. Also, if you've had any game-winning moments involving one of these cards, let me know. I'm very curious to hear. So yeah, this is JRJuggernaut1 signing out. Peace, guys.